Hi everybody, and welcome to Josiah is Right. So I am here with Penny because we are going to do an unboxing and sort of a review of the PlayStation Classic. I guess you could say controversial PlayStation Classic. So we're going to take a look at, first we're going to unbox and just look at everything you get in the box itself and what's inside here. Then we're going to talk about how it plays, things like that. So let's start by just opening this guy up. So here is what you get, a lovely little nostalgic box, and that's really what's great about it. The thing itself, as I'll talk about, it has great flaws, unfortunately. And the first one here is on the back of the box, where, look at that little thumbnail there for Metal Gear Solid. That's the screenshot they used, all that talking that you just would flip through like crazy fast. As we open the box, you can see here really a stupid gripe that I have with it. It's insane, but the box itself, the Nintendo Classic's actually printed on the box. This is just sort of a cover that goes around it, which I think is what PlayStation does. I'm pretty sure my PS4 came in a blue one like that with a white inner box. Just that blue thin outer one that was just very simple. This one obviously reflects the old PlayStation box, which I loved. I would look at the back of that box and dream about the games I would get, because when my brother and I bought it, we put our money in together. We could only afford 0 games. I think we bought a second controller, which was like an off-brand one. Maybe not even right away, but it was definitely an off-brand one. We had an off-brand one basically until the DualShock came out. But there you can see the Classic itself, and it is adorable. But anyway, what I was saying is we'd look at those games in the back. We just had the demo disc that came with it at first. So that box and those game pictures on the back, that really takes me back. And that's what this is special about this thing. The flaws are, in some instances, really, really sad and frustrating. But that alone, kind of, for me at least, almost makes it worth it. You can just see how awesome and adorable it is. So that's what you get. You get the Classic itself, the PlayStation in this case, and you can see here the box, which when I was opening this box, and I've opened a lot of boxes like this for different electronics and things in my life, I'm really more impressed with whoever engineers this cardboard. This is just amazing, the way this stuff folds and it's cut out of a single piece and all. Just like basically that box is one single piece of cardboard. So you see the controller, the HDMI cord, which I'm not even using because I just have one HDMI cord from one of the Nintendo Classics that kind of works for all of my classics now, because I just kind of swap them out from the same one on my television because I can't have like 5 little tiny consoles plugged in. But that's the nice thing about them, since they're small, you can have them. The controller feels okay. It feels light. Again, since it's not DualShock, it just doesn't quite feel right. And it's that kind of thing where eventually when the DualShock came out, that controller became the extra controller that you would only use when you had the multi-tap going. And here it is next to the Nintendo Classic, and then here it is next to the Super Nintendo Classic, which it's pretty much the same size. So it's just whatever that tells you. Next to probably my favorite JRPG ever, for sure, Final Fantasy VII. It's just interesting to see the size physically next to it. So now that it's open, let's take a look at the games. What do you get with this thing? How does it play? All that stuff. That's where all the controversy is, because this as an artifact is just amazing and adorable, and I love it. As you saw in the video, I stacked it up with the other classics. It's brilliant just for this. I almost would buy it alone just to have this mini version of this. But it's way far from perfect. But not as bad as I feel like I've been hearing. Still not great. That sound very much takes me back, that boot sound. Then you select your language, things like that. It shows you how the disc switching kind of works in the guide to the console itself, how to navigate the menus. And that's really one of the biggest flaws in this thing. The Nintendo Classic made the menus such an amazing experience. It's just, like for example, their screensaver. I put up videos about it because I thought it was so spectacular. Their screensaver just blew me away. It was just such an awesome idea, and it was so simple. But you don't get that with this whatsoever. You can see the selection of games here, and the game selection is something we'll talk about. I don't think it's as bad as kind of people said. Basically, you instantly take away 2 of the games because of problems, which we'll talk about momentarily here, which is right there. Sony Computer Entertainment Europe. I guarantee you, I unfortunately have never been to Europe. I'd love to go, have family there, but I've never been. This sequence, I was so excited to play this game, and I knew that it was gonna not work, unfortunately, but at least I can watch these cool cutscenes that open the game up and take myself back to when I thought this was the most amazing computer graphics that I'd ever seen. That is true at the time. So Tekken 3, that's the first example of a just, it's basically, to me, a broken game. So you have this game, which just, I couldn't play it. I played Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 a lot. I even played the first one a little bit later on in PlayStation Life, just being a completionist when I eventually got it. But I am the one getting pummeled here, and I couldn't pull off any moves. And sure, I hadn't played in a long time, so my sort of muscle memory wasn't quite there. But the problem was, it's the PAL version, so it just doesn't work right. Same here with Battle Arena Toshinden. Now this is one I did play, but not nearly as much. I did, maybe, I don't know if I owned it, maybe a rental copy, things like that. I do think it's an essential game for the system, because it was kind of the first 3D fighter and a bit weapons-based. It didn't have any legacy like Tekken, but it was a significant game. But the same thing, it just doesn't play right. The speed feels slow. You can see here another thing that I dislike. It doesn't give you a guide menu. Now, getting into the things that I really like. Now, basically for me, there are 3 games on here that make this system worth the purchase. The first one here, Metal Gear Solid. This is perhaps my favorite game of all time, and it's great to play it again. Now, as I said, my favorite JRPG is Final Fantasy VII, and I'm just going to take a moment to you'll see here, just this opening sequence. This blew my mind and like changed my life as games could tell stories. So I'll just stop talking for a second here. And then from that we go up into the sky and we fly back down and we come here dramatically into the action. This was like filmic storytelling in video games in a way that I'd never seen before. I actually bought, was it Tobal number 1, I believe, that had that demo disc, which is now like more valuable than actually Final Fantasy VII itself. I bought that game because I wanted this demo. I read it in some magazine and I bought that game, and I actually thought that was an okay 3D fighter. Just, it was what it was. It had a cool like sort of another mode in there where it was like a third person sort of like running through kind of thing. I don't even know if I'm describing it right. But I bought that so I could play this demo, which was just basically the first segment where you blow up the factory or here, whatever it is. And this game, it, as you can see, early 3D kind of doesn't hold up as well. I think that's a general problem with the PlayStation Classic. But if you've never played these games, that might be a problem. But if you played them then, I think you'll enjoy playing them now, at least these first couple that I'm going to talk about. And here we have another one of my favorite games, Resident Evil. It is the director's cut. I wish it was Resident Evil 2, because I think that's sort of the perfect Resident Evil game for the early gen systems here, for the early 3D that is. And it just, this version is actually special personally too, though, because we had borrowed it or rented it or something, and we played Resident Evil a lot at my grandmother's when my grandfather was actually ill, so it's kind of nostalgic in that way. And watching these openings, as cheesy and sort of the poorly made as they are, poorly acted, it scared me. It was scary then. It holds up now, not quite in the same way, but I still find it scary. Maybe it's nostalgia. But the game, it's great to play it. It's just great to relive it. The controls, it's like, wow, this is playing modern 3D versus old school 3D. It's a different thing, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Daddy? And it's funny how I remembered sort of the little tricks as you start off. I haven't played much of this one yet. I haven't played much of any of them yet. So I guess that might be the real test. When I really get into these games, we'll see what you really have. And the next game that's going to come up here, Abe's Odyssey, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, I think is what it's technically called. This was one of those games where I remember I had played a demo, and then I really loved this game, and I believe I owned it. It might have been a rental. It's all a little bit hazy. I know I owned the previous games on this list, and like I said, it might have been a rental, but this was one where I felt like I was playing a stop-motion game, and it's just, So it's really cool to see just like a great sort of 2D platformer, and this game is really challenging, and I haven't been able to play it well now. And here we have Twisted Metal. I wish Twisted Metal 2 were the game. However, I never personally owned Twisted Metal 2. I did own Twisted Metal. Again, this is one of the first games. My brother Jake bought this game, and I bought Wing Commander 3. So Wing Commander 3 is another game that I really wish was on here, or actually Colony Wars, but this isn't that list. But it's great to play this game because it is an iconic PlayStation 1 game. However, I wish it were Twisted Metal 2. That's like the best version from the PlayStation 1. They have cool borders too. They don't have Twisted Metal 2. And here's a game, Siphon Filter, that I kind of forgot about, but I think, oh wow, this was a really good game. It's one that does not hold up well, but at the time it was really good. I got a lot of play out of it. I liked it. It would have been on my list of top games that I had, at least at that time. If I had a top 10 list, it would have been on there. Ridge Racer Type 4. I played a lot of Ridge Racer. There was a Ridge Racer on that original demo disc we had, so I think Ridge Racer is essential. I assume this is sort of the best version of Ridge Racer, and it played really well for me. The next thing that I thought was really good about the PlayStation Classic were the puzzle games. On my Nintendo Classic, the thing I've played the most is Dr. Mario. And I used to play Puzzle Fighter a lot on the PlayStation. I almost forgot about it. Mr. Driller was fun. I played it a little bit back then, probably like a demo disc version, but it's not the same as Puzzle Fighter. But the puzzle games on here, I think, are really strong, and I think really hold these systems down. But at the same time, it's kind of like, is Intelligent Cube, great game, but is it really an essential PlayStation title? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm asking you. Do you think it is? However, it's a really good game. I am really bad at it. I used to be pretty good at this game, but I don't really recall the mechanics, unfortunately. You can see me dying instantly here. But it's one of those things where it was, at the time, this was sort of a groundbreaking game in terms of a puzzle game that utilized the 3D in a really unique way. So I think it's an important game that should be on here that I kind of forgot about. Then we get into the RPGs here. Wild Arms, never played it. I don't know that I will, and that's kind of why I wanted these sort of chunked together here after I talked about those puzzle games, which I think I will play a lot, all of them. However, for these, I don't know that I'll be able to get into them. Just to get this little bit of capture footage, I'm just clicking through all this talking, and I just don't know if I have the patience and time for that, when I would rather sort of relive some of these other games and play certain different newer games. I just don't know. I want to, again, same here with Persona. I have no idea. This is less likely to get played than Wild Arms. Wild Arms is a game I wanted to play back in the 90s, but I didn't. This is a game that I don't even think I was aware of. So maybe that's bad on me, but I have no idea. I had no desire to play it at the time, and I guess I have an opportunity now. Cool Borders 2. This is kind of a weird one. I think it is kind of oddly an essential game, but is it really necessary? Am I gonna play it? I don't know. Jumpin' Flash, I never played this game, and I find it difficult to play. Just early PlayStation game that maybe was important early on, but for me, I'm kind of like, I'm probably not going to play it. Maybe, it's essentially kind of like a puzzle game to me when I kind of look at it, so maybe I'll get into it. I guess it's one of those important PlayStation games in a certain way, but it's just, for me personally, I just don't see myself playing it. We're kind of getting into that list of those kind of games, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's kind of cool to experience it. And here we have Grand Theft Auto. Now, this is a game that I just never cared for, the original Grand Theft Auto. It's just, here you see me, I'm stuck on a wall. The controls were sort of foreign to me, and I had this game. I think I still have this game. I found a recent copy at a thrift store, and I liked the concept, and it plays well, but it's just, I never liked Grand Theft Auto, even 3D, and that's, maybe I'm weird for that. Destruction Derby, another one, I just don't care. It's just a destruction race car game. It's like Twisted Metal, but you can't blow each other up to me. So I just think this game is just filler to me. I am really puzzled. And there are a lot of other racing games that I play that I would like. And here is Rainbow Six. Now, Rainbow Six is a game I did not care for. My brother Jake played this. I think we had it, and he played it and liked it. I just didn't. I didn't care for it. I didn't want to play it. Here's one thing I very much do like, the save system. So the save system, essentially for each game, it seems, I haven't tested it at length, it seems you have 2 memory cards for each game. I'm not sure what the save capacity is overall, if there's any kind of overlap for that, but basically you have the memory card for each game. because if you remember here in Resident Evil, you had to get those ink ribbons and then use them on the memory cards, and you only had so many save points. You'd have to overwrite and all these things like that. And if you wanted a certain point, you'd have to remember what that point was. So, like, say if there was a certain boss or something you wanted to see, or a cutscene that you knew was coming up, you have to save it. And here you see it offers you a save point. So basically, when you stop, it offers you there, and you can see the way the memory card functions. And again, just bland, ugly menus all the way around. But you can sort of bypass that because, and each of those games, you see that little icon there where it shows you where you saved last. So it just saves your last play automatically, which kind of gives you extra value in saving. I think that's a really cool thing, because a game like Resident Evil, I don't have to worry about those stupid ink ribbons and can just carry extra ammo and extra health, which is very helpful in that game. So that's kind of it for my take, at least. So that is the PlayStation Classic. Far from perfect, but worth owning. Right now, I bought mine at Target for $60. I think it's worth $60. Is it worth more than $60? I doubt that. It definitely wasn't worth $100, but it was worth $60 with gift cards and things like that from Christmas. But it's definitely worth $60 to me. Like I said, I would pay, just to have this for itself, that it didn't do anything, I'd pay $20 for this. I know that sounds crazy, but I probably would, just as a collector. I'd pay for $20 to have this cool thing on my shelf. But $40 more for some really good games. About half of them are what stuff I would say is maybe even essential, less than half essential. But Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, and Metal Gear alone, I'll get play value out of it. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Please share this with your friends, and let me know if you're playing one. What are you playing if you are? What do you think of the system? Do you disagree with what I said was good about it? Do you agree with what I was bad? I think most people agree with what I said was bad. But I'm wondering about the good stuff, because I did find good in this, and it's just definitely not a Nintendo Classic system, unfortunately.